Sai Ram students, a warm welcome to all of you. I hope all of you are doing good. Today we are going to begin with a new topic, and this topic, students, you have already covered up in your lower grades. But as and when you go one grade higher, you get into the detail of this topic. And that is what we will be doing this year as well. So let's get started, students. A gentle reminder to all of you to quickly go get your book and a pen and start jotting down all the important points. Now, before I proceed, let me tell you what is essay writing. An essay is generally a short piece of writing outlining the writer's perspective or story. So what's an essay? It's a short piece of writing wherein the writer is sharing his or her experience. How that experience has changed him as a person. How that experience has changed his life. If he has witnessed any event that also can be shared with the reader. So what's an essay, students? It's a short piece of writing which is outlining the writer's perspective or story. Next is, let us understand what are the different types of essays. To begin with, we have descriptive essay, then we have narrative essay, imaginative essay, and reflective essay. Now let's understand these essays one by one. Narrative essay. This is when the writer is narrating an incident or story through the essay. So when I say narrative, the narrator is sharing his story or an incident through an essay. So when the writer is doing that, basically the narrative essay is written in first person, that is I. The aim when writing narrative essay is to involve the readers as if they were right there when it was happening. So when you write a narrative essay, it should be such that even the readers feel that they were present over there when things were happening. Clear? Moving on to the next type of essay, that is imaginative essay. Imaginative, the word itself says imagination. Okay, let's understand what this essay is all about. An imaginative essay is an essay which tends to discuss anything from space travel to fantasy land. It is basically an essay based on fiction where you are required to put your imaginary skills or thoughts in a logical order. If I tell you, write an essay on if I were invisible for a day, or if I were Doraemon, or if I were the Prime Minister of India. So what will you do? You will start imagining yourself as that particular person. Okay, and then you will start sharing as to what you would do if you are given a chance to become, say, the Prime Minister or invisible for a day. So whatever you jot down, students, you have to put them in a logical order. That is what is imaginative essay. Moving ahead to the next type of essay, that is reflective essay. A reflective essay is an essay in which the writer examines his or her experiences in life. So what does the writer do in reflective essay? He or she examines the experiences that he or she has experienced in their life. Okay, and then what does the writer do? The writer then writes about those experiences, exploring how he or she have changed, developed or grown from those experiences. So, first of all, the writer examines his experiences. Second, he or she writes about those experiences and then how these experiences have brought about a change in his or her life, that also the writer mentions. How the writer has developed or grown, or how his life has changed after those experiences, that also the writer conveys through this type of essay. Clear? Next is descriptive essay, and yes students, this is our topic for today. In detail, we will be learning about descriptive essay. The descriptive essay is a genre of essay that asks the students to describe something. When I say descriptive, okay, descriptive is to describe something in detail. What is that something? That something can be anything. It can be an object, it can be a place, it can be a person, an experience, an emotion, or a situation. Anything for that matter. Okay. Now, this genre encourages the student's ability to create a written account of a particular experience. So, experience with anything. It can be an object, it can be a person, it can be a place, it can be an emotion. Okay, so what do you do is you basically describe any of the situation given to you. Clear? What is descriptive writing? Let's understand that first. Descriptive writing has a unique power and appeal as it evokes sights, smell, sound, texture and taste. 5 senses. It tells us what something looks, smells, sounds, tastes or feel like. So when you are describing, you describe in such a way that even the reader feels that he or she is experiencing what you have experienced. Using description in your writing brings the world within your text to your reader. So if you are describing a particular place, your description should be such that even the reader feels that he or she has also visited that place through your writing. Such should be your description. Okay? Moving on to the next part of your essay is elements of descriptive essay writing. There are 5 elements, students. We'll be dealing with those elements one by one. The key to a good descriptive essay is to really dig into the 5 senses as they relate to the subject of your essay. Okay, so you have to describe in such a way that you are basically making the reader also feel the same way that you have felt after you experienced a particular thing. A well-crafted descriptive essay will allow you to share a picture of something as vividly and as genuinely as you can and to transport your reader into an experience where they feel that they are actually seeing, hearing, or experiencing it themselves. So, when can you call a descriptive essay a well-crafted descriptive essay? It's basically when you allow, when you make the reader also feel what you felt, when you make the reader also see what you saw and experience whatever you have experienced. So you have to use such words which create images in the minds of the reader. Okay? For example, if your essay is about a trek into the forest, you would focus on the senses of touch, smell, hearing, and sight. Maybe not so much on taste. So, when you're writing an essay, when you're sharing an experience that you have done, you must have gone on a trek with your friends and you want to share this experience. So you will be sharing in such a way that the readers also get the similar type of experience. Okay? Elements that we will be dealing with in this class. First is, a good descriptive writing comprises of the following 5 elements. First one is sensory details, followed by the figurative language. Third is dominant impression. Fourth is precise language. And fifth is careful organization. Let's understand what is sensory details. A good descriptive writing includes many vivid sensory details that paints a picture and appeals to all of the reader's senses of sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste when appropriate. So when you have written a perfect descriptive essay, okay, it creates images in the minds of the reader. So what does it do? A good descriptive writing includes many vivid sensory details. Okay, you will explain in such a way that it paints a picture and appeals to all of the reader's senses. Okay, it goes correct with all of the reader's senses. If you are describing a particular place, you will create such images in the minds that even the reader connects to it. Okay? Descriptive writing may also paint pictures of the feelings of the person, place, or thing and invokes in the writer. So whatever basically the writer feels, he or she will also express or describe it in such a way that the reader feels the same. Now, I will explain you one point which is very important when it comes to descriptive writing. Show, not tell. In this, students, I'll be giving you 2 scenarios. Pay attention very carefully. The first scenario is, if you are writing about someone who is excited about going to a party, how would you describe this? There are 2 ways in which this can be described. First is, she was excited when her parents gave her the permission to go to the party. She was excited. Okay. Second one says, her eyes widened with surprise and her lips parted as she screamed with delight when her parents said yes. So the moment I said her eyes widened with surprise and her lips parted as she screamed with delight. So this basically, this word excited is basically described in a better way in this B option. Because when I said her eyes widened, you must have imagined how happy that girl would have been. And her lips parted as she screamed with delight. She must be very happy and she must have screamed. And screamed when? When her parents said yes, when the parents gave her permission to go to the party. I'll give you one more example, students. Scenario 2, wherein you are in the midst of a thunderstorm. How would you describe this? So again, one way is you will say the rain was falling heavily and everyone was afraid. And the second way, the raindrops attacked the galvanized roof and the windows rattled. We huddled under the bed and held each other tightly. So here what has happened? Here the same scenario is described in a better way so that it creates images in our mind. Look at this part. The raindrops attacked the galvanized roof and the windows rattled. Windows made some sound. Look at that rattling sound. So you can imagine that. Correct? And then next, we huddled under the bed and held each other tightly. So you can imagine, these small kids sitting under the bed and holding each other tightly. Nowadays, yes, we don't go under the bed, but yes, if our parents are around, if our siblings are around, when we hear a loud sound, we tend to hold each other tightly. Why? Because you're very scared of that sound. Okay, so this way of describing has created images in your mind. This is also correct. I'm not saying this is wrong, but this has not served our purpose. We want the readers also to experience what we have experienced. But this option A does not allow the reader to experience what we have experienced. Okay? Which one is clearer? The description in first example tells you what is happening but does not create images in your mind. I just told you. Okay? But what happens in description B? Let us understand that. The description in the second example, that is B, creates images in the reader's mind and allows them to experience it fully. Yes, this is the most important part. It creates images in the reader's mind and allows them to experience it. Moving on to the next one, it is figurative language. Good descriptive writing often makes use of figurative language such as the analogies, similes, metaphor to help paint the picture in the reader's mind. So what do you do in figurative language? Basically, you are making comparison. Analogies is comparison that you make between two different objects. Now you must have learnt about simile. What is simile? Simile is a comparison done between two unlike things. We use the word like and as. For example, her smile was like a sunshine. So here, her smile is compared to sunshine using the word like. Okay. Moving on to the next figurative language, that is a metaphor. What does a metaphor do? Metaphor compares two unlike things without using like and as. So, her smile was a light that lit up the room. So, here what is happening? Her smile is compared to a light which made the room, which lit the room. Okay, so here also comparison is done but without using the word like and as. So you can use such figurative language in your descriptive writing. Next element that we are doing is dominant impression. In dominant impression, what happens is the reader is informed of the author's angle, how the author is thinking. Okay, and it also creates a lens through which the reader reads the rest of the essay. Now students, if I give you an example that you have, I'll give you an example that you have to write an essay on your sister. Beginning of the essay, you mention somewhere that your sister is strong and resilient. Okay, this you must have experienced it. Okay, and that's the reason you've mentioned this in your essay. But as in when you go ahead with your essay and you mention that instance, what made you say this, the readers will connect to it. Why? Because you've already mentioned ahead that your sister is strong and resilient. That impression is created, which the reader will carry forward with him or her when he or she is reading the essay. So basically we have to select details which help the reader see what we see, feel what we feel, and experience what we have experienced. Okay, your goal is to create a single dominant impression, a central theme or idea to which other details relate. So that dominant impression, around that the other details of the essay will relate. A dominant impression, like I told you, creates a mood or atmosphere. So I hope students, this dominant impression is clear to all of you. Next is precise language. Good descriptive writing uses precise language. Now what do you understand by precise language? It's the use of exact nouns, adjectives, verbs to help create vivid mental pictures. And this is created without resorting to using many words to convey your thoughts. So you don't use many words. You use few words, but those words have an impact on the reader. You will use such words. Using specific words and phrases will help the reader see what they are describing. Okay, so you will use words which will leave an impact on the reader. If the word or phrase is specific, it is exact and precise. Careful organization. Good descriptive writing is organized, has to be in a logical order. Some ways to organize descriptive writing include chronological, that is when we are writing about, that is time. Spatial, which is location, when you speak about the place, and order of importance. Let me explain you one. If you are describing an event, you will need to write paragraphs in chronological order. If you have experienced something, an event, okay, so basically what will you do? You will write paragraphs in a proper chronological order. How the event began, what happened during the event, and how it concluded. You can never begin with the conclusion first. Correct? So there has to be a proper chronological order followed when you are describing an event. Again, for that matter, if you are describing a person, what will you start? How will you start? You will start with the description of, you will start with the physical description of the person. And then moving ahead, you will speak about how that person feels, how that person reacts to a particular situation. So directly you will not jump on to how that person feels or thinks. You will start with how that person, how that person looks. If you're describing a person, maybe your grandfather, your grandmother, your father, your mother, you will directly not jump into how he or she thinks, how he or she behaves or reacts to a particular situation. You will first speak about the physical description and then you will move on to the other things. So I hope students, these 5 elements are very clear to all of you. We are not done with our topic yet. We'll catch up in the next class wherein I will be teaching you the structure of a descriptive essay. I'll give you an example and there's a homework question that you also have to do. So students, that's it for today. You will take care of yourself. Sai Ram and bye-bye.